Hello, I'm glad to welcome now Sonwabo Mdwaba. Sonwabo is the founder and president of the Pan-African Information Communication Technology Association, to be pronounced PAICTA, and he's based in South Africa. We are glad to hear more about access connectivity hinders digitalization of rural and peri-rural communities. I would love to leave the floor for you to hear more about what you would like to tell us about.
Hi, good afternoon or good evening. It's early evening. My presentation title is Access Connectivity Hinders Digitalization of Rural and Peri-Rural Communities. I think access, if we look at access as a first step, access is when people have got access to an infrastructure that has been set up. But as we can see in many countries in Africa, there's a lot of access connectivity in the urban areas, and everyone is basically spending or investing in the urban areas and neglecting the peri-rural and rural areas. As I continue, I see a picture. According to Mario Manivich, we live in a time when we talk about digital as a default, about digital transformation of our societies and economies, and the need for a fully connected society. If this is to become a reality, broadband connectivity needs to be made accessible to all, even in the most remote areas. This picture, you can only view it from the first world. In the rural areas, there is no infrastructure, there's no digital infrastructure that is available, which is why I am looking at different methods and different on my debate. I am saying to you, to reach universal access, an innovative approach is needed as a priority to connect the unconnected. It is estimated that approximately 45% of Africa population is further than 10 kilometers from fiber network infrastructure, which is a higher percentage than any other continent. Barriers other than the access, affordability, the policy, regulatory, and fiscal environment, the status of digital skills, gender, age, level of education, which is why we're saying African governments, critical to ensuring consistent and affordable and equitable internet access. Governments in Africa, they need to reach a consensus on policy, which is very important. Right across Africa, they need to play a major role in addressing shortfalls, including micro smartphone penetration, lack of skills, inadequate coverage in Africa. I think it is time to say it's always seems impossible until it's done. We need to work on connecting the rest of Africa into the digital world. African governments must continue to invest, as I've said, in the ICT infrastructure. With investment, there will be social impact that enables communities to be enhanced. As we all know that most countries in Africa, including South Africa, the government is working as a parent, basically offering social relief programs to different people up to young children that are born in the country. Creating and enabling a developmental ecosystem is very important to ignite the socio-economic environment in the rural areas. We need to bridge Africa digital divide and accelerate Africa digital transformation access. How do we do this thing? How do we do this? We do this through innovative tech hubs, access for the excluded. All tech hubs that we know today, everyone is investing in urban areas. Let's all sit, or all stakeholders must sit and take the development into the rural areas. Training, skilling, reskilling, upskilling individuals from these communities. From a connectivity perspective, the stakeholders, all related parties must sit and provide guidance in internet access, digital infrastructure and devices. There's a lot of technologies that can be utilized to connect the rural and urban areas and peri-rural areas. Promoting digital culture in communities is pivotal. We need to get to a point in Africa where we develop platforms that provide information and market access to communities. If we give a good glimpse on digital connectivity, And I've taken a broad perspective just to show how desperate are the disparities that are there in different communities. South Asia, as well as Eastern and Southern Africa, only 13% of children, young people have access to internet basically at their homes. In region of East Africa and Pacific West, Central Africa, and Eastern and Southern Africa, more than 300 million children and young people per region lack home internet access, totaling more than 900 million without access. These are the challenges basically that we're facing our continent. Accessibility. Accessibility, we need to look at it from an ability to have access. I've highlighted already that 45% of our communities in Africa to running to 80%, they don't have connectivity at all, and it's going to show as I present the slides. Affordability, you might have access but not affordability. Our different governments in different countries, they need to come up with a plan to subsidize or make a plan for people to afford. People can afford but not be able to use because of lack of digital skills. And quality, you will find that lots of people in Africa are using mobile broadband. And mobile broadband does not guarantee quality if they are not covered with fiber or connected to fiber. Capacity for policy making and implementation is limited. Digital divide is broadening. Vandalism is something that happens, and as everyone knows that in South Africa a few months ago, people vandalized the infrastructure of telecommunication. Current state, we all know that Africa wants to deliver on its goal for inclusive and sustainable development. How do we deliver goal of inclusive and sustainable development when majority of Africans don't have digital infrastructure connectivity? We need to ensure that people are connected so that Africa can drive for unity, self-determination, freedom, progress, collective prosperity pursued under the Africanism, African Renaissance. I'm tabling telephony and internet. Telephony as mobile telephony and internet. If we look at Africa, there's a lot of cell phones that are out there. People are using cell phones, but does not necessarily mean that they are connected to the internet. In many countries, we're talking of 3G, 4G, 5G, 6G, and decade later, telephony, the internet have become increasingly intertwined. How it is intertwined in the first world, but in the rural areas and peri-urban areas, it is not intertwined. We need to get to a point where we come up with strategies, innovative ways of connecting the rural areas. I'm giving a perspective using a 2018 infrastructure plan. Fixed broadband in 2018 connections was 0.4 per 100 of population. Covered by mobile cellular networks, which is 89.9 in 2018. Covered by 3G network on beta, 73.1. Covered by LTE, 39.8. These stats have not changed much, and in the next one, I'm going to show how it does not change over time. If we look at internet usage or internet penetration in different countries, I'm going to give an example. I'm using this slide just to show how the environment has not changed. South Africa is sitting at 56.2%. To date, South Africa is sitting at 59.3%. So the growth between 2017 and 2021 is not that much. Tunisia is sitting at 64.2%. If we look at Tunisia today, it's sitting at 66.7%. There's a difference of about 2%. If we look at Kenya, it's sitting at 17.8%. Okay? Kenya is the only environment that has grown to 40% internet penetration. If we look at Egypt, as an example, Egypt is sitting at 57.3% penetration. Gabon, which was sitting at 62% yesteryear, 2017. Gabon, there's There's no movement. It's still a 62%. Anyway, I've shown the disparities that we are facing in Africa with digital infrastructure. Digital transformation, basically, if it were to happen in Africa in the rural areas, it's driving force for innovative, inclusive, and sustainable growth. It will improve the contribution to addressing poverty, reducing inequality, facilitating the delivery of goods and services. And it will assist in us achieving the Agenda 2063 of the Sustainable Development Goals. For Africa, the current moment offers a leapfrogging opportunity as there is no infrastructure. Today's technologies basically to taking our communities into a better, impactful socio-economic environment. Key stakeholders that I'm suggesting that are important for African development: rural and peri-rural communities, government, private sector, NGO, and developmental agencies. These stakeholders will play a critical role in developing the rest of Africa. Role of private sector. The private sector has served the continent well in providing ICT infrastructure. However, governments must take their responsibility positioning in ensuring continued investment in rural areas. An innovative thinking method, strategic method must be adopted. Prospects for growth and development in the 21st century, rural and peri-rural, depends on how the continent positions itself for value-adding activities. ICT enables improved efficiencies in performing tasks. You know, in this day and age, post-COVID, people are working from home. There's no luxury like that in the rural and peri-rural areas of Africa. There's telemigration whereby people are not moving away from their communities but working from their communities. It is not possible for Africa. Way forward, an integrated and inclusive digital society economy in Africa that improves the quality of life of Africa's citizens. It will strengthen an existing economic sector. To harness digital technologies and innovation to transform Africa societies, economies that promote Africa's integration, general inclusive of economic growth. We are saying that innovative, sustainable business models are important. COVID-19 has shown that ICT is an enabler. For us to achieve the 2030 targets, build a secure digital single market in Africa by 2030, and achieve the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, the rural and peri-urban areas need to be connected. Building inclusive digital skills and human capacity across for our governments in Africa to offer e-services right across judiciary, education, health, and related. We need connectivity. Transformative is very important. Fully leverage, harness, and accelerate impact on society by accelerating Africa's socio-economic development through digital transformation. Inclusive. For us to be inclusive with our communities, digital transformation for everyone, everywhere across Africa, that is affordable, creative, creating equal access to opportunities and mitigating risk of exposure. Homegrown, led and owned by African institutions, it will be enabled in Africa's realities, unleashing African spirit of enterprise and creativity. New mindset that we need to get into Africa, benefiting from the digital transformation, requires mindset change and new types of collaboration. For foundation and pillars, all components of digital ecosystems are important. However, foundation pillars are those elements that are the foundation in which digital transformation is built. It must be stable and self-sustaining. In conclusion, we need to help develop rural ICT connectivity across the continent and ensure affordable access to communication infrastructure. Everyone needs affordable access to communication access strategies that will be inclusive, basically, and ensure that the widening of the digital divide is closed. Digital divide in education and health community continues to widen. Governments across Africa must provide policy direction, ICT infrastructure sharing in order to support the growth in internet connectivity. Need to urgently address access to spectrum. Spectrum, it needs to be looked at as a way of connecting the rural areas. Co-coordinated effort in managing developed worldwide players getting Africa online. It is important. I've highlighted that already. We need real uptake of pure communities of ICT or digital infrastructure is transformative body power. Create communities whose closely do not only consume ICT artifacts, products, services produced. creators of the solutions for the communities addressing community challenges. I am saying promotion and growth of culture of ICT production, enabling local people, especially women and youth, to become content and software developers. Affordable, accessible, reliable infrastructure is the foundation to achieving any inclusive digital transformation. A winner is a dreamer who never gives up. We need to dream of seeing one day Africa connected to the digital world. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Indeed, it is. We can just underline what you have already talked about and mentioned, how important it is to access the World Wide Web to get connected and stay connected, especially nowadays. Thank you very much. I would love to, we don't have questions. We just have a statement from Khalda Muhammad, who's a planner at Petrolines for crude oil. I would briefly ask for your comment, please, on that. So he says, ironically, following military coup in Sudan, there is no internet access since 25th of October 2021. Would you like to comment that, please?
I've missed the question. Can you come back again?
So he says, ironically, following military coup in Sudan, there is no internet access since 25th of October 2021.
Yes.
Do you have any comments on that? Very briefly.
Look, the reality is in Africa, and this is the reality. Every country, Eswatini, Ethiopia, Sudan, governments do as they feel like. When they feel threatened, they shut down the internet.
Yeah.
It is, which is why I'm suggesting that we need to have a consensus policy in Africa amongst the government, different government leaders, and come up with a defined way of dealing with unrest or dealing with, because it is inhumane to shut down internet for people not to have connectivity.
Yes. Thank you very much for your comment. So again, I would love to thank you and wish you all the best for the best for your initiative. If the attendees have any questions or comments, they can contact you via platform immediately. Thank you for your time again.